Hi everybody, welcome back. If you're watching this, you're either a student at the Arts Academy of Benjamin Rush or you're a student or teacher utilizing these videos from the website that I've created. Thank you very much. Feel free to put uh, a comment in about its benefits or about how you're using it. Hopefully you're using it well. And feel free to email me if you have any cool specific questions or requests. With that being said, this is essentially lesson three, more or less day four of our opening unit in the health education course for the Arts Academy of Benjamin Rush. It's specifically unpacking what spiritual health means on a wellness wheel. Quick review, there are things called wellness wheels that are out there. You can Google them and find them all over the place. Some of them contain 6 or 7 things, 8 things. Sometimes you'll see an inclusion of financial health, educational health, workplace health, occupational health. I don't know if I said this already, but environmental health. But all of them will have these 5 dimensions, so to speak, of a human: physical health, intellectual health, sometimes referred to as mental health, social health, emotional health, and spiritual health. And there was a previous video from class one unpacking each of these and being able to explain what they specifically mean. In short, for your review right now, physical is body, intellectual is mind, social is your group interactions, emotional tends to be how you cope and manage life's daily pressures and stress and feelings and things like that. And then spiritual health is what we're going to unpack today. Because a lot of people get it confused. To review, spiritual health means values, morals, virtues, and beliefs, what's right and wrong in different situations. And it's arguably the most dangerous of the 5 dimensions. A lot of people automatically think the spiritual health means religion, and that's not the case. It's values, morals, virtues, and beliefs. And certainly religion can play a part in that, but people that don't practice any organized religion or consider themselves atheist or agnostic absolutely have spiritual health as well. And let's go and develop this even more and start asking ourselves some questions like, why is it arguably the most dangerous? So if you're watching this to learn the lesson because you were absent or something, maybe you pause it and think about this for a second. And if you're just reviewing it because you've already seen it, then you don't have to pause it, obviously, but just go on to the next questions. It's, how do you know what's right and wrong? And a lot of people will say it's from their conscience, or it's a moral compass, or an internal sense. And I love this question, like, you just know. You just know. In reality, we know what's right and wrong because it's learned through our influences and our personal experiences, both directly and indirectly. I always make the analogy when I'm teaching youth group to my teens in the evening for the evening youth group that I volunteer at. Like, you don't have to teach a baby how to do the wrong thing. Like, children will inherently do things that you have to tell them no about. So, but you have to teach people how to do the right thing. So, our personal experiences, our influences taught us directly or indirectly what is right and wrong throughout life. Because defined influences are people, places, things, or events that we learn from either directly or indirectly. And I'm here to argue that all of our influences are the result of observing someone else do or say something, or a personal experience that we've had, no matter the source. This time it's probably a good idea to pause your lesson video again if you're doing this for the first time and try to guess what are the most common influences for people ages 12 to 17. If you're not going to pause this video, then we'll just go on to the next slide. But again, if you're watching this for the first time, pause it and try to brainstorm this for just a couple minutes. What do you think the most common influences are with people ages 12 to 17? That said, here are the most common influences. Number one, social media community. So what you're seeing on things like Instagram and Snapchat, TikTok, Discord, and whatever else you're using, It's the number one influence for a person ages 12 and to 17. The community and environment in which you live, so your neighborhood, influences you quite a lot, quite abundantly, based on the experiences. Like there are some people that will come around and will say things to me like, um, everyone I know drinks every single Friday and Saturday, and I tell them like statistically speaking, that's it's not true that 100% of the people that you know drink every Friday and Saturday. It's just that the people that you hang around with most often in your neighborhood would. Same thing happens when it comes to vaping or smoking, and somebody goes and says everybody vapes or everybody smokes. Well, maybe your friend group has a large number of people that smoke or vape, but statistically speaking, it's a small number of high school age young people that smoke, and it's a higher number that vape, but still, in the grand scheme of things, it's less than 40%. So, in any case, number three is your friends or peer group. It goes along with who are you hanging out with and what are the things that you're doing and and what's happening with that. You talk about peer pressure and you think about peer pressure growing up, and it's not necessarily pressure in terms of trying to force you to do something, but just what your friends tend to do, you tend to do. So that's something to consider. It's not to say that you won't. It's not to say that you can't make your own independent choices. But we tend to be influenced often by what our friends are doing in terms of making our own decisions. Number four is entertainers, and that includes musicians, actors, athletes, internet personalities, and people like that. Like, and it's actually funny. Like, a lot of internet personalities are specifically called influencers. That is their job. Like, they're trying to get you to follow them and follow the way that they think, follow the products that they use, follow the things that they do and say is right and wrong and cool. Musicians, actors, and athletes also use their platforms to try to influence you on ways to think, or ways to act, or ways to dress. It could be that they're selling you a product. It could be that they're trying to sell you a philosophy. It could be that they're trying to bring you onto a political stance. It could be that they're trying to get you to join up for their nonprofit advocacy group to be an activist. Whatever it is, they're influencing you for what it is that they want you to do. And number five is pop culture. A lot of people say that five and four are the same thing, but pop culture doesn't necessarily have to have a person to it or a face. It's not necessarily a specific musician or actor or athlete or even internet personality. It might be something that's cool. So pop culture, for example, it might not be all of the actors or actresses from a show like Stranger Things or something like that, but the show itself could be a cultural movement, which brings you back to like 80s retro or things like that. And we could use a lot of different examples, but I just want to use a popular example that currently doesn't have any new seasons planning. You get the idea. So it could just be what's popular in the moment, even if it's not contributed to a specific person. We bring this up because prior to age 12, the top five influences are different. So the top five influences prior to age 12 are parents, siblings, television, friends, and the community. So the only ones that are the same are friends and community. Technically, I guess television could fall under entertainers, but siblings and parents, they're not even on here. Unless your sibling is your friend or your peer based on their age, parents and siblings aren't even in the top five for people 12 and older. So parents and siblings are your two top influences prior to age 12, and after age 12, it immediately change. So again, all behaviors start out as influences, and your influences and behaviors affect oneself in Pisces. Let's see how that happens. We start off with our influences learned from birth from a variety of sources, and then after that, those influences help us to create a worldview. From the worldview comes our beliefs, how things should be, what's right and wrong. What is it that we hold to be true? From our truth, from our beliefs, come our values, that is, what is important. And of course, from our values comes our behaviors and our actions based on our beliefs and values. It comes out to this slide right here. This is a graphic that we have in a classroom, and it's also on the website. But you look at it and you see influences and personal experiences. Again, then our worldview develops into our beliefs, develops into our values, develops into our behaviors. Well, if you look over here, and I don't know if you can see the mouse arrow or not, but we're looking at the top left-hand corner, your behaviors are also known as actions, and they can be internal or external. So they can be actions internally and things that we do to ourselves internally, or they can obviously be external and behaviors that we do and perpetrate towards somebody else. But all actions have consequences. Sometimes you can substitute this word consequences for outcome, but anything that we do has a consequence. It's even a law from Newton in physics that to every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. So no matter what the behavior is that we perpetrate, no matter what the action is that we do, we're going to have a consequence that goes for it. That consequence will have a positive or negative result for us. It can make things better or make things worse. And with that, our relationships then increase or decrease. We can either make our relationships stronger or we can make our relationships worse when it comes to the grand scheme of things. Here's another graphic that I found off Google. I don't really know where it came from. I looked at Google Images, and when I clicked on the web page that it was supposedly at, it didn't exist anymore. But it misses the circle about influences, but you still get the same idea. Our worldview comes to what is real. Our beliefs is what is true. Our values are what is good. Our behavior is what we do. So those are some things for us to be able to understand when we're looking at the spiritual section of health. And that's what the spiritual section is. And for us to be able to think about that, we go back to our Pisces wheel, and we know that health is generally speaking about physical things, whereas wellness is speaking about all areas. And you need to be healthy in all 5 areas to be able to be have wellness. And that includes how we act. That includes our character. That includes how we treat others. That includes the things that we do. I'm not endorsing one specific worldview over another. I'm just saying that your worldview was a result of your influences and personal experiences. And once you developed your worldview, you came up with your belief system on what is true. No matter what the influences are, where they are, or what they are, as long as they're factual and as long as they're data backed and data driven, then there's nothing wrong with any of it. It causes you to have your values and what's important, and then of course your behaviors. Big question back in olden days, people ask all the time, what is truth? And all I have to say to you is, you've got to determine that based on, once again, your influences and personal experiences. Thus, this is your spiritual health. Have a great day, and thanks.